Hello everyone, I hope you all are doing fine and are taking care of yourselves. I'm Kanika Tandon and I'm here with the video of class 7th English first. In today's video we are going to cover chapter number 12, which is active and passive voice. Then chapter number 21, phrasal verbs, chapter number 22, idioms, and then the writing part of the book, which is comprehension, letter writing. Okay, starting our today's video with chapter number 12, that is active and passive voice. In this chapter, we will actually learn how to write a sentence in two different ways without changing the meaning of it. So, to start with this chapter, I would like to tell you that there can be many ways in writing a sentence. You can either change the word, you can use different words for a simple word, you can use other words or something, but there are two ways to mainly write a sentence. First is in active voice and second one is in passive voice. Both of these voices, the meaning in both of these voices, the meaning of the sentence is actually absolutely same, but the way of writing it is different. So in this chapter we will learn how we will write a sentence in active if it is in active voice, how can we change it in passive voice, and if the sentence is in passive voice, how can we change it into active voice. So first one, here it is: a verb is said to be in active voice when the subject performs the action. Okay, so it is very simple to understand. When if the subject is performing the action, when the subject is doing some action, that sentence is called active voice. For example, the leopard chased the antelope. So the subject is doing the action. What action, what is the subject here? The leopard. And what action is he doing? He is chasing the antelope. So here the sentence is active because the subject is doing the work. But if the subject is not doing the action, that sentence is said to be written in passive voice. For example, the antelope was chased by the leopard. So in this second sentence, who is actually doing the work? The leopard. But in first sentence, the animal which is doing the work is, or the thing that is doing the work is, the leopard, right? So in first sentence the leopard is the subject, and in second sentence the leopard is not the subject. So whenever the subject is doing some work, that is active voice, and when the subject is not doing the work, when the subject is not doing the work, that is passive voice. So when the verb is in a sentence shows that the subject is the doer of the action, the verb is active voice. I have already told you, right? Like children painted these pictures. So who painted these pictures? Children. So who did the work here? Children. And children is also the subject. That is why it is an active voice. And similarly, if we change this sentence into passive voice, we will write that these pictures were drawn by the children. So who is in the second sentence, who is doing the work? The children. But the children is not the subject. Therefore the sentence is written in passive voice. Okay, when the verb in a sentence shows that the subject is not the doer of the action, the verb is in passive voice. Okay, so now we have let us read what are the uses of passive voice. So passive voice is preferred when the doer of the action is unknown. Alright, when we don't know that who is doing the action in the sentence. Second is, the doer of the action is irrelevant. Alright, when we actually don't understand who could be the doer of the action. The next is talking about a general truth, when we are talking about a universal fact or something, and to emphasize the person or thing acted on, or to emphasize the thing. This is the main point in this by this point, we are understanding that here we are emphasizing, we are actually giving some limelight to the thing with which the action is being performed. He is not doer of the action, but the action is being performed by performed on him only. Like the leopard chased the antelope. So what is antelope doing? So in passive voice, what do? We give the limelight to the thing on which the action is taking, action is being done. Like antelope was chased by the leopard. So here antelope has become a subject and has gotten the limelight. We have emphasized on antelope because by making it the subject. Generally you will find by in the sentence. If by is not there, you can put a question who, you will get the answer. Next is, in active voice, subject acts upon object, while in passive voice, object is acted upon by subject. This is actually might be very clear to you in active voice when we were saying that the leopard was chasing the antelope. So here the action is being done by the subject and it is done on the object. So the subject is acting upon the object, and what is the object here? Antelope. But in passive voice, the object becomes the subject and the subject becomes the object. In passive voice, the object is acted upon by the subject. Alright. It can also be said in active voice, subject does a work on object, while in passive voice, object is worked on by a subject. This is the same thing only, but they have actually shuffled the words here and there, but it has the same meaning. The normal structure of an active sub-sentence is subject plus verb plus object, but in passive, the normal structure of a sentence is reversed according to the certain rules and becomes object plus verb and subject. Alright, this when you will do the examples, you will understand better. The real meaning of a sentence does not change if the sentence is expressed either in active or passive voice. It is clear that even if we are right, both of the voices will give a same meaning of the sentence that we are changing. If we are changing the active sentence into passive one, or we are changing a passive sentence into active one, the meaning of the sentence will always be the same. Now, rules of converging from active to passive. The subject and the objects are interchangeable. Of course, if they are not interchangeable or we have not interchanged, the sentence will not be converted into each other. Okay. The preposition by is usually added before the subject. Whenever we are changing the active sentence into passive one, we have to use by. In most of the sentences we use by, because the subject becomes the object. So if we are changing a subject into the object, we'll have to use by, because then only it will give a sense to the sense will come to the sentence. The verb is changed to past participle, third form of the verb. The verb is changed into third form of it. Alright, a new auxiliary word is added to the past participle form of the verb. And what are the auxiliary verbs? We have already studied in our last video. Auxiliary verbs are is, rm, was, were, do, does, did, has, have, had, can, could, marry, might, will. These are what? All of these are auxiliary verbs, or we can say in simple language that helping verbs are used. If the subject or the object is an active voice sentence, is a pronoun, it changes. I becomes me, we becomes us, you becomes you, he, him, she, her, they, them, it, and vice versa. This you will understand when you will be changing it, because then only it will give you sense. You will understand that okay, there is something wrong, because it will not be very good to hear. So you'll understand that okay, I have made some mistake, and you will then work on it. And see, you cannot read the book and then understand how to change an active sentence into a passive one, or a passive sentence into an active one, until and unless you don't practice it by yourself. you write sentences, you change it into passive, you write passive sentences, change them into active, then only you will understand that okay, this is the particular rule that we have to follow. Like, I wrote a letter. Okay, so a letter was written by me. He is reading a book. वो book पढ़ रहा है. वो book उसके द्वारा पढ़ी जा रही है. So it will be a book is being read by him. Next is if a subject in an active voice statement is unknown or unimportant, such as we, they, people, somebody, etc. So we can use by plus object is omitted. There are some sentences in which we are not clear with the subject. Like I am saying in the last sentence only, he is reading a book. We don't know who he is, right? We have no idea about he. So it is unimportant. Similarly, we make butter from cow's milk. Who we? Have they is it given that who are the people we are referring we to? Alright, so it is unimportant. We don't know until as it is not a name or a particular person. We cannot. We just don't have to be very. We just don't have to be very importance giving to it. Okay, so we can even if you want you can write, but if you don't want, it is not necessary to write it. Like we make butter from cow's milk, and now the passive sentence is butter is made from cow's milk. It is not given that what butter is made from cow's milk by us. So it is not why they have not used by us, because the subject was very unimportant to us. It was unknown. We did not know who we are, right? Coming on to the next one. This is the last rule. This is if the verb is an active voice sentence, has a modal in it, the verb is changed into modal plus be plus the past participle. And what are the modals? Modals are can, could, may, might, will, would, shall, should, must, etc. These are modals. Alright, these are also a part of auxiliary verb only, but particularly these are modals. So if we are using these modals, what we have to use? We have to use modal plus be plus the past participle. Okay, so Rajesh can lift the box. Here can is used, can is modal. So this box can be lifted by Rajesh. We should obey the rules. The rules should be obeyed by us. Here we could have written us, but then again we is actually unimportant. It is unknown, so it is not necessary. But you can also write. If you write, it is not wrong. Next is when there are two objects, only one object is interchanged. The second object remains unchanged in the sentence. So he told me a story. Now there are two objects. One is me and another one is story. So one of them is changed, that I was told a story by him. A story was told to me by him. So one of the object will always be the same. This is a table that shows how active verb form is changed into its passive voice form in different tenses. You can read it and understand what they have done here. It's very easy if you read. Okay, let us come on to the exercise now. Preposition is usually used before the doer of the action in the passive voice. Up, by, or from. What is the preposition that is commonly used in active passive? Is by. Voices are of two kinds, active and passive. Now coming on to the exercise, you have to do these exercises into your copies. Because there is no place, it was very hard for me to write. Okay, so first one is they are playing volleyball. So volleyball is being played by them. The mechanic repaired the bike on time. The bike was repaired by the mechanic on time. We were dusting the room. The room was dusted by us. Editors edit books and newspapers. So books and newspapers is edited by editors. Nisha put the clothes in cupboard. So the clothes are being put in the cupboard by Nisha. We do homework every day. Homework is done by us every day. Our team won the match. The match was won by our team. They will finish the work in a week. The work will be finished by them in a week. Alexander Graham Bell invented the telephone. So the telephone was invented by Alexander Graham Bell. I shall teach you this game. This game should be taught to you by me. The officer received signals from his commander. So the signal was received by the officer. Here we could not use signals. Why? Because in the sentence in active voice the signal is in singular form only. The people were chasing the burglar. So the burglar was being chased by the people. I'm sorry, this is people, not burglar. I'm sorry, that is my mistake. Here it is people. He scored a century. So a century was scored by him. Everyone loves her. So she is loved by all, or you can also write here she is loved by everybody. Both of them are correct. I have sold my bike. So my bike has been sold by me. The police arrested him. He was arrested by the police. He handed her a check. I'm sorry, I have not written it. So a check is handed to her by him. Or you can also write a check is handed to her. You can also write this. Next is Miss Paula teaches us English. So English is taught to us by Miss Paula. They kept him waiting. So he was kept waiting by them. Our army has defeated the enemy. So the enemy has been defeated by our army. Next is change the following sentences into active voice. Now we have to change the sentence into active voice. So not a word was spoken by Parvez. So Parvez did not speak a word. The old man was being helped by some boys. Some boys helped the old man. The child was knocked down by a car. The car knocked down a child. I'm so sorry. The horse was frightened by the noise. The noise frightened the horse. I don't know what is wrong with me. I'm so sorry for doing this. Okay, next is the stadium was filled with spectres. So the spectres filled the stadium. The trees were blown down by wind. The winds blown down the trees. She was taken to the hospital by them. They took her to the hospital. Come on to the next page. The first railway station was built by George Stephenson. So George Stephenson built the first railway station. The teacher was pleased with the boy's work. So the boy's work pleased the teacher. I was struck by her optimism. So her optimism struck me. He was praised by his teacher. So his teachers praised him. The Prime Minister was welcomed by the people. So the people welcomed the Prime Minister. The cat was frightened by the noise. So the noise frightened the cat. By whom was this done? So this is who did this. The dog was tested by the boy. The dog was teased by the boy. So the boy teased the dog. My pocket has been picked. So someone picked my pocket. Okay. Next is he was appointed monitor by the teacher. The teacher appointed him as the monitor. The radio was invented by Marconi. So the Marconi invented the radio. The exhibition was opened by the mayor. The mayor opened the exhibition. And the last one is the gate was opened by the watchman. The watchman opened the gate. Next is change the voice of the state sentences. Did the police arrest them? So were they arrested by the police? Question mark. What information did you give? So what information was given to you by him? We see a dark cloud. A dark cloud was seen by us. Do you like English? Does English liked by you? The bomb injured many people. Many people were injured by the bomb. Next is look at the flow chart showing the process of preparing lemonade. Now describe a process in passive voice. So this is going to be your homework. You have to describe it in passive voice. So with this chapter is over. Let us come on to the next chapter of this book. Next chapter is chapter number 21, phrasal verb. In these phrasal verbs, these are actually phrases that contains either verb, adverb or preposition, or they can have all the three with them in the phrase. Alright, so these verbs do not give us a very clear meaning, and also it is not necessary that whatever the word they are saying, it has the same meaning. Alright, now phrasal verb is formed from by three ways. Either it has verb and preposition, or it has verb or verb and adverb, or it has verb plus adverb plus preposition. For example, if we had a verb plus preposition, it is make up, right? And now if we have verb, adverb and prepositions, we can write cut back on something, right? So let us study the following example. Let's get down to some work now. She looks after the baby. So either in these the verb is added with a preposition or an adverb, or it has verb. Verb is very constant. Verb will be there 110%. Either it will have adverb or preposition, or it will have both. Now these are some examples that you can read by yourself at home. These are round about 3 pages of the examples that you can read, and you can use them in your daily life, right? And these will come in, these might come in your exams also, like yes, from inside the book. Now let us come on to the exercise. Choose the correct option. A dash verb is an idiomatic phrase. So this was given. A phrasal verb is an idiomatic phrase. Next is a phrasal verb may consist of verb plus preposition, verb plus adverb, or both of these. So it has both of these because it can have both. Now here is a list of some phrasal verbs. Find out the meanings from dictionary and use them in the sentence of your own. So here we have to find the meaning of these. So first one is bring out. It means make something easy. So that dress brings out the color in you. Next is call in, to call somebody. So he was called in by the directors. Carry off, to perform something successfully. So the dance was carried off really well. Back up, to back something up, like we back up we have a backup of our data in the phone, right? So it is I have a backup plan, or like we have planned something, it has not executed that well, so we have a backup plan, a second plan. Next is get in, to get into something. So this is I got into the room or anything. Fall off, that something has fallen off. So the door handle keeps falling off. The handle of the door keeps falling off. Run into, to meet something unexpectedly, when you're not expecting anybody to meet, but then you meet them unexpectedly. So it is I ran into my old friend. Wipe out is to destroy, like all villages were wiped out by the flood. Now here we have to fill up with using prepositions. So the telephone system has broken down. Carry on with your work while I am away. Parents are always anxious for the children to get along in life. We could get a new laptop now, or hold on until prices are low. Or the old friends ran into each other at the holiday resort. She was picked up from dozens of applicants for the job. They set up on the last stage of their journey. Strike his name off the list. We talked out the matter for 2 hours. He worked out the problems. Now the second one is find 10 phrasal verbs in the word grid. So this is the word grid, and from this you have to find out 10 phrasal verbs, and this will be your homework, and you have to find it and write in the box. Last one is complete the sentences with correct phrasal verbs. So it is, I can't hear you, can you speak up please? Can you look after my baby when I'm at the dentist's? I give up, what's the answer? I'll always look for my keys in my big bag. We are usually late for the school because our school bus often breaks down. So in the first sentence, speak up means to speak clearly. To look after my baby is to take care of the baby. I give up means I don't know the answer and now you can tell me the answer because I have given up thinking. I always look for my keys. To look for my keys means to search. We usually late for the school because our school bus often breaks down means uh, it uh, it gets some puncture or something, right? With this chapter is also over. Let us come on to the next chapter, which is idioms, which is very easy. Idioms is actually an expression whose meaning is different from the meaning of the individual words. So it is basically a group of words which have a very different meaning, and it is used to um, tell people something in a very cryptic way, right? Like they know that we are meaning to tell something, but then we don't want to use proper words for it because we think that they might get hurt or something. So the meaning, this idiom is an expression whose meaning is different from the meaning of the individual words. For example, spill the beans. If we actually understand these three words, spill means to uh, like to get scattered, right? To get scattered, and beans means the vegetable. So if we properly see the meaning of these three words, which is that let the beans scattered, but the actual meaning of this phrase is to tell someone some kind of secrets. So these are idioms. If we actually find out the meaning of the individual words, we will get a um, very weird and awkward uh, meanings, but then the actual meanings are actually different. In this chapter also there are many examples that you can read by yourself from your book, because these are going to come into the exam. You can here the words are given, the meanings are given, and then they have used it in the sentence also, so you can read them by yourself. Let us come on to the exercise. Tick the first is choose the correct option from those given to give the most appropriate meaning of the idioms below. Loaves and fishes means a material gain. Out of pocket means suffer a monetary loss, when we actually suffer a loss in some kind of transactions. Draw the line, ascertain a limit, to actually make a limit. Take someone to task is to scold someone, when you have given a task to somebody to complete it but then they have not completed it, and you are actually scolding them for it. Off and on means something that has been happening very frequently, it is happening again and again. And be at one's wits and end, it means perplexed. Next is, these are uh, 8 idioms that we have to use in the sentence. First is, she seems to be a little dash, she looks rather pale. So here they have used rather pale, which means that the girl is actually not well. So here we will use under the weather, which means somebody is actually very ill. The farmer is always working in his farm. So here they want to use a phrase in which it tells that the farmer does not actually see whether it is raining or it is sunny, he keeps doing his work. So come rain or shine means whether it is raining or it is shining, the farmer will always do the work. The work will never get stopped. I really don't want to go to the cinema, can I take a rain check on it? Take a rain check means to actually say no to something, somebody has planned something, you don't want to go, you can actually ask for a postponement. matlab, okay, if they can postpone it, or if they cannot postpone it, you just don't want to go with them. So it is take a rain check. It is going to be a terrible week at work. This week is just the lull before the storm. The lull before the storm means when you are going to get a very kind of pressure, and you are already very aware of it. Don't ask your father to go out. See which way the wind is blowing before asking him. See which way the wind is blowing is when we actually see whether the things are going to be in our favor or not. Next is, I can't waste money on useless things. I will save for a rainy day. To save for a rainy day is to actually use it when it is needed. My friend is snowed under with work at the moment. Snowed under means he is actually under the pressure. He has lots and lots of work at the workplace. Having topped the class, she is on cloud 9. On cloud 9 means you are very proud of yourself. So it is, she has topped the class, that's why she is proud. With this chapter is over. Let us now, in my next video, I am going to explain you the written part, the comprehension, paragraph, letter writing, story writing. Next chapter is comprehension. So in comprehension is actually a kind of paragraph that you have not read before, right? It is basically the best way to test the student's reading and writing and understanding skills. So in comprehensions, a paragraph is provided to you that you have to read and understand, and then have to answer a set of questions that are asked below. Those questions might be word meanings. Okay, the questions are can come in the in word meaning kind of questions will be there. There will be question answers, like proper question answers that you get, or you might get fill in the blanks also, but generally you get only question answers and word meanings. The only thing to be kept in mind are the following. So first is the read the given passage very carefully. Read the question once. Now read the passage again while keeping an eye on the question. Being answering questions, scanning for answer in a passage. Use your own language while writing. Keep your answers brief and to the point. Observe word limit wherever mentioned. Employ short and coherent sentences. Take care of to use correct grammar, syntax, and appropriate vocabulary. And review your answer to remove errors. So these are the things that you have to keep in mind while you're writing the comprehensions. Okay, next one is the letter writing. So letters are on a piece of paper. We write whatever message we want to give it to somebody. It is an integral part of communication, right? It may be written in a message, request, account of events, etc., sent by one person to another. We already know what a letter is, right? So in every letter there are some set of things that should be there. So we have to follow the format whenever we are writing the letter. So first of all, it should have the heading, right? In heading there should always be the address, sender's address, then date, and second one is salutation. In salutation we have to mention to whom we are writing the letter, right? If you're writing a letter to your father, so you'll say dear father, and if you're writing it to your mother or somebody else or some official, you have to write their names. Now third one is the body of the letter. Body of the letter means whatever matter you have to write in the letter, you have to write it in the body of the letter. Last one is the second last is the subscription. In subscription you have to write like you certain type of leave taking, a very polite leave taking that you want to now end the letter, so it comes in subscription. And the last one is the signature. In signature, what you have to write, you just have to mention your name, that who is the person who has written the letter. These are some things that you have to keep in mind. Now coming to the type of letter. So letters are actually classified into two types. One is the formal and another one is informal. So formal letters are those letters which are written to some kind of official, or these are the applications, right? Like you're writing it to the principal of the school, to the management of the school, you are writing it to the head of the society or head of the municipal corporation or anything. These are the officials, right? And we have to be very formal, we have to be very polite in this. Second one is the informal letter. Informal letters are those letters which we have to write for the to our parents or to our cousins, family, where you can be a little informal. You don't have to mention all the things. You can use any language if you want. So these are the informal letters. Now we are going to study the format of writing informal letters and formal letters. Okay, this one is the informal letter. I'm sorry, this is a formal letter, because this is the letter we are writing it to the manager of the bookstore. So he is not our relative, so we have to put it under the category of formal letters. In this in this letter, first we have written the sender's address, right? If I am writing this letter, I'll mention my address first, then the date, and then to whom I am writing it, right? After this salutation, which is dear sir, and then now I have written the body of the letter. In body of the letter I mentioned for what purpose I am writing this letter or this application to you. And at last I have written this yours faithfully, which is the description, and then I have written my name at the end, which shows my signature. So this is the format of writing a formal letter. Now if we come to the informal letter, in informal letter first we have to write the address of the sender. Like if I'm writing this sentence, I have to if I'm writing this application, I have to mention my address first, and then date, and then to whom I am writing, that will be the salutation, my dear John. Then body of the letter, whatever things I have to mention in the letter, I'll mention it, and then affectionately yours is the salutation, sorry, description, and at the last it is signature, which is the name of the person who is writing the letter. You have to be very careful while you are remembering the format of writing a formal and informal letter, because um, you have to be very thorough with the um, the format of the letters, both of the letters.